Another coffee with Kilroy, or what I like to call beverage and a book. My beverage, well, coffee. And I hope you are enjoying a beverage of your choice. Today's book is a war game book. This is Overflight. It's got an exclamation point right there. A solitaire Cold War game. This is Historical Wings, and this is from Historical Wings and Thomas Van Hare. Mr. Van Hare, or Thomas, was kind enough to send me this copy, so I want to thank him for that. I saw a Facebook post or some reference to this game that it was coming out, but it was, very top secret, hush hush. So I reached out to him, and he was kind enough to get me a copy very soon, because this will be, my understanding is this will be available on Amazon like his other books. And there have been other books. I have covered, this is in the mission series or special mission series. This is the second, and I've covered other books, including the first in that mission series. SOE Lysander, and then I've also covered Mag 23, Guadalcanal. This is more into the air operations type series, and the first in that series was Tally Ho. Was the first in that series, and Tally Ho was also the first one to have a boxed edition. When you get this from Blue Panther, you do not get the book, so you still need to get the book, but what comes in this is all the components, and I'll put links to all these in my description, including my unboxing of the box of components. But if you get into the Historical Wings series from Thomas Van Hare, there's a little bit of DIY, do it yourself, that you have to do on these, in that these are war game books. So the counters, the maps, if you want to have quick reference to any charts, you're going to need to make copies or pull them out or do something to construct your game. Everything is in here. Everything is in these books to play the game, but it does take a little bit of work, and they're not alone in doing that. Minden Games has done that from time to time. The Lambo games, really, you don't have to do that, but they've kind of evolved into that. That's kind of a common way to play their games, is to do a little bit of extra work to make the components and stuff. But at their heart, they are a war game book. So, and that boxed edition of components, I assume will be available for this as well, because it's probably, in fact, I think it is, because I've seen references to, like it's going to have a canvas map, I think, something like that. Blue Panther does good components, good quality components, and sometimes they're the publishers that they source for add canvas maps and the like. Most of their games are paper, but they do canvas from time to time, and they're very nice. So you got a lot to look forward here, and I think this is definitely a game that you're probably going to want to get the box, the box of components, because there's a lot here, and it's an interesting game and topic. Something that's near and dear my heart. Now, I was not a YouTube pilot, but I did work for a government intelligence agency for a while, and so this has always been kind of fascinated me. There was a different plane at that time, and I'll show a mug of that before the end of the taping today, if I can find it. I've got a mug somewhere that I actually bought at the blind man stand at headquarters. So yeah, we had literal blind man stands. They were people that worked those stands. So it was kind of interesting. anyway, we can get. Well, that's another topic we can talk about another day. I was just gonna say who's gonna stiff or cheat somebody at one of those stands when you're in the middle of the headquarters. Anyway, so let me get a cup of coffee or a sip of coffee here, and let's go into this game. So if you're familiar with the Historical Wings series, which are all done by Thomas Van Hare, and this is his company or his publishing arm to do this. They're all dealing with air warfare of some sort, either operations, which the first couple that way, or missions, which the next two in that series, or that next two from Historical Wings cover. So, and this one's covering the Cold War, dealing with U-2 missions over Russia, collecting intelligence. These were high altitude planes that could, reconnaissance planes that could take photographs and see where missile bases were, and army movements, and army installations, and any military installations, and anything like that. And so, very interesting aspect of the Cold War that doesn't get a lot of attention. So there was a movie, I'm drawing a blank right now, but it had Tom Hanks, which was dealing with the exchange of Gary Powers, who was shot down. One of the more infamous U-2 pilots was shot down, and the exchange of the Russian spy for that. But it's more from that end of it, because Tom Hanks was the Russians' spy's attorney. If I remember that, I'll pop that in too. I've drawn a blank. Not enough coffee today. Anyway, let's take a look at this Overflight. Overflight is a solitaire reconnaissance game in a narrative style. As the director of the CIA's U-2 program, Project Aquatone, your pilots will fly deep into the Soviet-controlled territory with the mission of taking photographs and gathering information about the latest developments in the Soviet Union's military arsenal. The president asks, are the Soviets winning the arms race? Designed by Thomas Van Hare, this is the second war game of the Special Missions Collection. Your all-black U-2 spy planes will fly into danger, uncovering whether Soviet Premier Nikita Khrushchev's claims about developments in strategic bombers, nuclear weapons, and intercontinental ballistic missiles are true or empty rhetoric. It is 1956, and the greatest arms race of the Cold War is underway. No one wants another Pearl Harbor. This means that we must have knowledge of military forces and preparations around the world, especially those capable of massive surprise attack. President Dwight D. Eisenhower. Another aspect where this is, apologize for my voice, I'm still fighting a cough. I took a couple of classes in college that dealing with the arms race, and I went to college, during the Cold War. Well, at the it ended while I was in grad school, but so to speak. So took a couple of courses, focusing on, the arms race and nuclear deterrence, and the buildup of the military arsenals on both sides. And so it was very interesting that how this very early on, after World War II, that this became spying and reconnaissance, and became a very strong piece of the Cold War. And there's a few games that cover this, not a ton, but not as much as the war games, or even the hypothetical or alt history games. But there's a few games that cover the spying and the espionage of this period. And I've done a piece on spies. I'll put a link to that, because some of those games are referenced in there. Anyway, enough of that. Let's get in the book. I keep on rambling. You want to see what's in the book here. So these are not your typical. I feel like these books are a little bit longer than your regular war game books. Maybe the more of the European paper size. So you get a little bit longer page in here. Here is the intro page, but this also talks about what's available. You have Tally Ho, Mag 23, SOE, and what's in development. He's got quite a few things in development here. Looking quite very anxious to see what more comes out of Historic Wings. Here's your famous, well, for some of us, we might have seen this before, about your cover page, talking something that is top secret. Of course, this has been scratched out because he's got all his clearance to declassify this, I guess. Here's your contents about the rules. I mean, this is a pretty thick book. It's about, let's see here, it's 114 pages. There's Mr. Van Hare right there. It's not 114 pages of rules. The rules themselves are right around 20 pages, it looks like there, and that is including examples of play and special rules and some supplemental tables. So the rules really are not that that extensive, and it's dual column, good size type. So you're talking less than 20 pages of rules. The rest of this book is all the contents. It's the tables, the maps, the charts, the counters, a set of counters, everything that you might need to play this game is in here. You just need to figure out how you want to construct those components. Do you want to make copies of it? Do you want to, sometimes I copy on sticky paper or on label paper, and then put that on a thicker surface and then cut that out. But you can figure out what you want to do there. Also, so you've got from page like 20, you got like 30 to 54 is all those different components and charts. Then from 72 to 114 is the supplemental history. So that's one thing I really appreciate about Mr. Van Hare and Historic Wings. They always provide quite a bit of context and history in their books. And again, that's why I play these games, is for the history and to understand it better and to have a tactile feel of the history. And so quite a bit of history in here in these books. And I'm anxious to dive into that and take a look and see what it has to say. So here's the introduction. Here's how to play. And here's the game components. So as you see, it's relatively clear, relatively straightforward how it's set out here. This is a solitaire game, if I didn't mention that already, and this is kind of a narrative-driven solitaire game. What do I mean by that? Well, you can argue that almost all solitaire games are narrative-driven because you're playing by yourself, so you're providing kind of the story, the narrative, and the understanding of what's going on, or the tension of what's going on in the theater of the mind, so to speak, right? So, but some games do it better than others. Some games really, kind of add to. As I said, most solitaire games can be classified as narrative, but the ones I think that do it better add a little bit of an RPG feel to it, a role-playing game feel, where you feel like you are making some decisions, you're managing a career, you're getting into you're actually adding to the narrative, or some of the mechanics actually add to the narrative and how you make the choices. And I found that especially his mission games, which this is the second of, really kind of do that. They really somewhat add to the narrative of the game with some of how they do stuff. And here you have some chits and stuff that you're going to be dealing with to make some decisions or get some qualifications for during the game. Quite a few of those. Here's some status markers here. Here's your missions. So you're going to have, you're going to have a waypoint. You're going to have a mission. You're going to have a waypoint, a threat table, a PRVP, and a Signet VP. PRVP is the maximum amount of VP earned from photo reconnaissance at waypoint, and Signet VP is the maximum amount of VP earned from signals intelligence at waypoint. Okay. Anyway, so you can get all into that. Here's sequence of play, or SOPS. you've got all this set up there. Here's combat. And as with most games, combat's going to be probably your more complicated area of the game. This one, combat's a little bit different because, it's more of evading, I would imagine, and trying not to get shot down. Got a few pages of that. Here's a specific sequence of play, so this breaks everything down. A little bit more detail. This stuff like this is, I would probably, this is a specific sequence of attacks. Sorry, not sequence of play. So this is the breakdown of the attacks. When I see stuff like this is stuff that I tend to make copies of and have as a separate chart if I wanted to kind of follow, while I'm playing, follow the sequence with a little bit more detail. Here's landing and debriefing. Here's diplomacy and politics. And then you got those supplemental tables and special rules. So we're really at 19 pages is pretty much the rules. And then you get into some example of play here. Quite an extensive example of play. Goes on for maybe 10 pages. And here's some table setups. So now we're getting into all the tables. So this is, excuse me. This is the game itself here. So we'll just page through some of this. Here's your map for the game. Now this is something you're going to probably want to blow up. The map should be sized to 17 by 22. So this is something you're going to need to blow up. But I think, as I said, in the box edition of this might be canvas. So that would be very nice to have that. So there you have that. Here's some more charts here, or tables. And then you've got, campaign, and then here are the counters, that you're going to need in the game. So not a ton of counters, but some that you need to make in here. Here's the black book. So this is where you're going to keep track of all your operations, and these are all the different missions. Starting in, looks like they start in 56. You can work your way up. I don't want to steal all the thunder here. So looks like it goes up to 60 on the missions here. Then you have the equipment. And that's another thing that Historic Wings is known for, is they give you not only the history, but they give you the detail of the planes that are involved. Again, there's very much an air focus on their games, hence Historic Wings. But they give you the details on the aircraft as well. And then we get into some of this is all the history that I was telling you about that goes on for, the rest of the book is all this history that you see in here. So as I said, there's quite a bit in here, and a lot of directions to go with this. And I imagine quite a bit of replayability in this book, in that, it's a solitaire game. So, you can keep doing the same mission over and over, and you're going to have different things that pop up during that mission that might change the outcome or change your decisions. Plus, there's a whole campaign in here. As I say, you go from 56 to 60, and there's several breakdowns during that of different types of missions. So there's quite a bit of game in this book, and there's quite a bit of history in this book, both literally, in the pages, but also in the gameplay. You're going to get a better feeling of what some of these missions and reconnaissance operations, what they entailed and how they were run. So anyway, that's what I have for you today. I want to thank Thomas Van Hare and Historic Wings again for sending me this. I'm now going to be looking at the box, looking to get the box from Blue Panther, because there's there's a lot of interesting stuff in here. When you get the box, you also get not only the map, but the counters. You're also, in the Blue Panther typical fashion, but you'll also get the charts and some of the key stuff that you need to play the game as well. Anyway, that's what I have for you today. Thank you so much for stopping by. If you've played any of these games, feel free to drop a comment down below what you think, or more specifically, what you think about Overflight and what it brings to the gaming community. Thanks all. Take care. Thanks for watching.